Oh, there we go. Audio now. Okay, so ignore those that first minute. Now the audio is back. So I said, peace and shalom, family. It's your brother, Divine Prospect, Kingdom Harbinger Ministries. We're back for another Freestyle Friday session. We're going to do a nice, short, and concise session on tonight. Trying to make it as impactful as possible. As you know, this is still the week of Sukkot for some of us, especially me, my family. So this is an ongoing thing into the end of the weekend. So we're all in close proximity to each other and not in other areas of the house. So just being mindful of the any kind of ambient noise or anything like that. Tune it out and stay focused. Have a good session. Give a moment for y'all to pile on in. Make sure you share the video. Make sure you share the video if you're interested in anything that's being said or entertained or educated by anything that you hear. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button if you're enjoying the content. Also, if you're brand new, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you know every time we go live or we upload some content. And if you enjoy the content, you can support the ministry by signing up for our Patreon at www.patreon.com/DivineProspect. Or if you want to get involved with KHM and the community work that we're doing, and other things we're doing in the Israelite community, as opposed and inclusive of the outside community, the link is in the description below, which you can do to sign up for KHM and get started. All right. Okay, so give it a few more moments. I'm gonna get started. Yeah, we back on a Friday. That's what it is, man. And y'all willing, we'll be back every Friday. That's the goal. That is the goal. All right. Let's see. Let's go ahead and give some shout outs as y'all piling on in. All right, shout out to McGarvey Champion, Shalom, Raphael, Shalom, Kaya Houston, Shalom, Ben Cole, Shalom, Kenny, Shalom, Marcus Jarman, Shalom, Kefa, Dauda, Yafa, Yahoo, Shalom, 876 Benjamin Israel, Shalom, Yirmiyahu Ben Israel, Shalom, Thomas Jackson, Shalom, Nisi's PC, Shalom, Jaslyn Berry, Shalom, Sean McGee, Shalom, what's going on? What's going on? Warfare, Rebirth of a Nation, Shalom. Shay Brooks in the building, Shalom. Apothecary Custom, Shalom. Sister Naomi Z, Shalom. Ron Shevat Ben Levi, Shalom. Via V, Shalom. I've got your email, sis. We'll put an update out, let y'all know what we're doing on either Saturday or Sunday. As we closed out the Sukkot, the Feast of Tabernacles. Shout out to 617. Let's get it. Shalom, Gavin Miller. Shalom, Chief Shema Talmid Yahu. Shalom. What's going on? Sister V Love. Shalom, Chiquita Samuel. Shalom, Tony Murphy. Shalom, the Black Av. Shalom, Truth Seeker. Shalom, Tone from the City. Shalom, SOT Kazakya. Yasharal. Shalom, Sir Araya Ari Yahawada. Shalom, Yasan. Shalom. Let's see. I think that's everybody. So no, 876 Benjamin Israel. No, we didn't do the classes yet. And things are tapering off a little bit better for me during my weekly daytime period. So I'll be able to prepare for those. So no, we're not doing those yet. Before I do that, I'm going to do a quick video and place on the Patreon. And we're going to go into proper biblical exegesis. So we're going to start with what is a Old Testament or Tanakh survey. What is that? What is a New Testament Brit Hadashah survey? What is that? That's very important to understand what a survey is because it gives you the background information in regards to the book that you're about to read. And then also you want to be able to have an outline where each chapter is parsed out and grouped together so you understand subject matters and what the purpose is. Timelines are important so you know what year these situations taking place, the immediate recipient audience, you know who the author is speaking to, who the author is, right? All of these details are important. What geographical location is the author at? What is going on politically at the time? What's going on in world affairs at the time, right? All of that information is what you get in what's called an Old Testament survey or a New Testament survey, right? And these are designed to give you enough prelude information before you actually dive into the text. And then from there, we get into your more singular or more linear analysis of the particular text that you're reading. You go from the chapter and then groups of chapters, because again, these things were not divided in antiquity. This is something that is a more modern invention where you have a separation of chapters and verses, etc. So that's important to have a survey to know what chapters and verses should be grouped together and which ones are distinct from each other, but still fit the same theme, which is whoever the author is that's writing the actual text. Okay. Also, it's good to have some footnotes on certain verses to get some insight into textual variants, insight into particular words used that have a range of translation, etc. Right. And then getting into some word studies, which is important, some grammar, which is important, some culture, which is important, history, which is important, right? Material culture, which is important. All of these things, customs and manners, all of these things are important for you to decipher the text, right? And you want to start first with a good Old Testament, New Testament survey to get some insights into what's going on, right? Now, some Bibles, critical different Bibles that are specialized or that's thematic may have that in, or you can just get texts that have that, or you can grab what's called an exegetical commentary, which is very good and is better than the typical commentaries because they focus more on the language of the text and the literature, right? So these are some good tools. This stuff that we want to definitely get into, because if you want to get the most out of the text, you got to understand what you're handling, what you're dealing with, right? And there's a plethora of tools available to allow you to get the most out of your studies, no matter how much time you have to devote to it. Even if you have 15 minutes, if you have the right tools, the right approach, you can get 2 weeks worth of information and understanding simply within 15 minutes if you take the right approach, have the right tools, and know what you're doing, right? And that's the goal of the class, is to equip you to do that. But proper biblical exegesis is important because it gives you the techniques and the approach, right? So you can get the most of it. So anybody can take me any chapter in the entire Bible, and any chapter, any book, any chapter, any verse, right? And I can break it down, right? Some things I know off the dome, some things I had to consult my resources for, right? But let me give you a good example of what I mean in regards to getting a good thematic Bible that gives you some what we call a survey, right? So this is one of the de facto sources that I tell y'all to get, the Cultural Background Study Bible. And if we go to a particular book, we could pick any book. In this case, let me pick Exodus, right? Go to Exodus and you go right before Exodus begins, right? They give you what's called an introduction to Exodus, right? This is what you're going to start seeing in your surveys, right? You see at the top here, Introduction to Exodus, page 105, right? Types of literature. The book of Exodus contains an array of literary forms. The grand saga describing the Israelites' miraculous escape from enslavement in Egypt may best be described as epic narrative. In addition to the Ten Commandments, the book contains a long list of legal provisions. Thus, the genre of law must be considered. The section concerning the construction of the tabernacle is an example of the ancient Near Eastern literary form used to describe the building of sacred shrines. There are also ritual instructions in the latter part of the book that lay out the elaborate ceremonies required to consecrate Aaron and his sons as priests. Other ancient Near Eastern societies utilize each of these literary forms as well. The nature of these forms of genres and how they were used must function as key elements in any background analysis of biblical texts. Thus, literary considerations are at times equally important as are the historical and cultural aspects of the ancient world and shedding light on the text of Exodus. Okay, that's a mouthful, but it's very important. Okay, now also, if you go here to this side of the page, and when you get a survey, it goes more in depth in regards to this information, right? And then it gives you the historical setting right here. It gives you key concepts right here, right? And then it opens it up for you and lays out what's about to go down. And as you traverse through the text, you get all of these sidebars, right? Like this one is Egyptian Kings of the New Kingdom, right? This is where the Exodus took place at. in the New Kingdom, right? It gives you the historicity of Exodus, right? Gives you a nice little sidebar information in regards to that. The timing of the Exodus. The hardening of Pharaoh's heart, and how that deals with the weighing of the heart ceremony, right? You see right here, the weighing of the heart ceremony, right? So this gets you in tune with the thematic elements of the ancient Near East, and gives you or grounds the scripture as a great point of reference in understanding the ancient Near East. And when you have a book that is a survey, it gives you a lot of background information, gives you timelines, or you can get separate sources as well. I showed you an atlas the other day. We went into the atlas and see how valuable using the atlas is. There's also another great resource. I'm going to drop that in the chat for y'all. That gives you timelines, charts, maps, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's from Rose Publishing. And they do a great job of laying these things out for you. If I can find, oh, here it is, right here. All right, I'm gonna try to see what I can get and put additional resources, because the Patreon has hundreds of resources, but I want to add these on there as well, because the Rose Book of Bible Charts, Maps, and Timelines is phenomenal. It's a great resource. You can get it for $22 from Amazon. It's worth every penny, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and drop that link here for y'all. The name of that Bible I just showed y'all is called the Cultural Background Study Bible. That's the one that I just showed y'all. All right, it's right there. I should put it down. All right. Let's see. Let me see. Some new people came in. Shout out to Tony Murphy, Katriel Ben Israel, Shalom, AJ Bethia, Shalom, Alvina Williams, Shalom. How do you keep Sukkot? Alvina, let me give you, hold on. Let me drop this link in here. I dropped the link in first. I'm going to drop for you, sis, a playlist where we go into Sukkot. So I don't really have to say much. I'm going to do some stuff on Sukkot, then the conclusion of Sukkot this weekend. But in the interim, what I can share with you is a playlist where I go into the feast days. So I did a couple on Sukkot. Let me grab it for you real quick. Playlists right here. And let's go to feast days. And then as a lot of y'all know, you have Hallows Eve or Halloween coming up this Monday. So I will be going live on Monday and going in. And the subject matter we're going to be talking about is those of you who are practicing Halloween. I've done a lot of videos on Halloween before. I even told you what people group should be celebrating Halloween, because that's part of their ancestral culture and customs. However, the question we're going to dive into this Monday is, has the candies that your children are collecting, those of you who are trick-or-treating, been offered unto idols, been offered unto other gods, been offered unto other entities that you are unfamiliar with? See, it's one thing if at your job they do all this Halloween festivities. I know, because when I went into my office for work, they were doing Halloween festivities. I didn't stay long, but that's what they were doing, right? And they did have candy that they had out, right? That's in an open place. Somebody purchased candy for the business, placed it there, you can eat it. Candy that's in the home is different, because you don't know what's going on in anybody's home. You have no clue what they're doing before they're offering something to your children. And y'all are just consuming it. Now, when I say y'all, I'm talking about the ones who are enlightened watching this. Most of y'all aren't, but there's some of y'all out there that are doing it. And if you want to continue to sell Halloween, that's your business. If you want to justify it, that's fine. When we go live on Monday, I'll give you an opportunity to come on here and you can air out your grievances if you disagree with the fact that these candies are being offered unto idols. So they be offered unto things. And the scripture says for us to be wary of all manner of evil, all appearance of evil. And there's nothing sacred or quote unquote set apart about Hallows Eve or Halloween. We went into the Samhain Day. We talked about all this in the past. So I even have links to that. Matter of fact, I'll post them up, right? So I have a link here first. Let me grab it real quick. I have several of them here. Let's see. Let's do this one. I go into the feast days, and I have several of them that I touch on in regards to Sukkot. I have a matter of fact, let me just give you the video that I did on Sukkot. I did this back in 2020. So here's the video on Sukkot. That's an excellent question you asked. Here's the link for it right here. This is the link for you to watch the video on Sukkot. I think it is, or that might be the playlist, but that's the video on Sukkot right there. All right, so click on that. Make sure you watch it tomorrow on the Shabbat. Okay. Yeah, so that was the last, that was last Halloween I did that. That video is on Patreon. It's a great video. It's very funny, very interesting video that I did. So you'll want to check that out as well. Spiritually woke. That's right. We in the building, spiritually woke. That's what's up. So here's the link right here. You can click on it in the chat. Check out the entire session that I did on Sukkot. I went into great detail on that. If you want to see some spiritual teachings on it, some edification teachings on it, we also have that as well in that same playlist that came from. Let me grab that one for you as well. This is the one I did back in 2019. All right, this is an edification message on Sukkot. There you go. All right, and I see my brother Aishu called, my brother Desmond. I missed your call. We didn't get to chat. I didn't get a chance to speak with you because work was pretty hectic. So forgive me for that. Please reschedule for next week and let's catch up, my brother. Okay, that's my brother Desmond. Shout out to Stanley Fields, the elder in the building. Shalom. So Ben Cole said, Aki, considering that Torah says we should dwell in booth 7 days and the 8th day is a holy convocation, did they not dwell in booth that 8th day, considering they had made the pilgrimage? So 7 days you're in booths, the 8th day you're not in the booth, right? You can be in a booth if you want. They're thatched booths, right? I've shown it to you in a book called Bedouin Culture in the Bible, where I showed you what the actual booths actually look like and how they constructed it in that time period. The 8th day, what they call the Holy Convocation. The reason why it's called a Holy Convocation is because that's when everybody comes together, and what they do is they collect the last remaining crops from the fields, from the threshing floor, and from the wine press before the wintry rains come. That's called the Feast of Ingathering. That is on the tail end of Sukkot, right? So that's when they come together, and that's why it's called the Holy Convocation, because the people are coming together, and this is what they do, right? Culturally, this is what's being done. This is what's going on, all right? So on that 8th day, there's no requirement to dwell in a booth. Only those 7 days. That 8th day, everybody has to come together and gather the last remaining items. That's why it's called the Feast of Ingathering. The last remaining items before those winter rains come, all right? So hopefully that answers your question. Shout out to my brother Seth in the building. Shalom. I didn't forget about you, my brother. We got you. I didn't forget about you. All right. Let me see who else is in here. Dawid Ben Israel, Yeshayahu 84. Shalom. Sister Lynette, the souls of our ancestors. What's going on? What's going on? C. Rochelle. Shalom. Jacolia's Gems. Shalom. What's going on? Kenny, brother Kenny, shalom. Mother Beulah in the building, shalom. We still have some lots going out. So thank you for your patience. Again, I told you to email me, those of you who have been inconvenienced by the delay, so we can give you a bonus gift as appreciation for your patience, right? So I think we got like 5 more lots that need to go out. I mean, we've been moving lots like crazy, right? So I know we've had a inquiry last week in regards to lots. Shout out to Roy, the chef in the building, cooking up something big in the community. I saw your notification. I didn't read the message yet, my brother, but I'll check it out on the Shabbat while I'm relaxing. And then here are your lots right here. Your Thummim and your Urim. Thummim and your Urim. Right? Urim means light. Thummim is supposed to be cognate with the word or the cognate to what's called truth or revelation. Right? So people would say that this means yes and this means no. Right? This means go. This means stop. And that's typically how it's rendered. But what you do is you take both lots like this and you cast it in your lap, right? So in ancient times, most people had an outer garment, right? A tunic, outer garment. And what happened is they would create a pocket in their lap. They would take the lots and they would toss it in their lap. So if you get 2 faced up, that means neutral. That means no go, right? If you get 2 face down, neutral, no go. Okay. If you get this up and this down, this is truth. This is yes. And this right here, like this means yes together. If you get it the opposite way, right, where this is revealed, this isn't, this is no. Okay. And that's simply how it works. They used to toss it in their lap, or sometimes you can toss it on the ground. So scripturally in the book of Proverbs, it says the lot is cast in the lap, but the decision is of your Tewafe, right? So I have a video on this channel where we go into lots and we describe that. Again, the purpose of lots is to bring you back to that pre-exilic culture. It is not witchcraft, or people say that it was witchcraft, which is nuts. It's crazy. How could it be witchcraft if there's something that people were doing who are righteous? Right in the book of Proverbs, they were doing this act. How was that witchcraft? Matter of fact, the Urim Thummim specifically is a specific type of lot that was in the breastplate of the high priest. So when people say that is witchcraft, how? It's done unto Yah. It cannot be witchcraft if it's done unto Yah. Shout out to John and Dorsey in the building. Shalom. Gene in the building. Shalom. HaKodesh Management. Shalom. Aki DB. Shalom. Stephanie Odom. Shalom. Let's see. Ma Araya. Shalom. If you didn't get your lots, they'll be on the way soon. They'll be on the way soon. I even ordered some more lots. Again, they come all the way from Israel. They're handmade. They come from Israel, so sometimes it takes time. So I apologize for the wait. I've ordered an additional lot, so I have some on hand. I could just send out for future orders. Let me see. Okay, I just want to make sure I didn't miss anything. Somebody just posted something. Shout out to Psalms 51 in the building. Shalom, King. What's going on? Hebrew Polymath. Shalom. Let's see. Makaza is a gamma. Shalom. Is that the origin of shooting dice? Shooting dice is a form of casting lots, but more so towards gambling. It is relying upon a random occurrence as opposed to one that is a form of divination where it is tossed unto the deity for the deity to give the results. So lots, or what people call modern day dice. So it's similar, very similar. Matter of fact, I showed y'all some ancient die, Roman die, during the 1st century CE. You know what I'm saying? And matter of fact, I think I showed some older die than that. I think I showed some Israelite die in a post that I did about a year or 2 ago. You know what I'm saying? That's why you got to check out. If you're not following me on Facebook, follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, and follow me, more importantly, on Clubhouse, because I'm very active on Clubhouse. Not every day, but I'm very active on Clubhouse. Or go into the community tab of this YouTube channel and go and soak up all the posts that I put on there. There's tons of information in there. Or you can just sign up for the Patreon. Everything is on the Patreon as well. So there's various means you can go and look up these things that I mentioned, and even a lot of the questions that you answer gets resolved when doing that. All right. So James Yasharala says, so you selling the people lots you got from heathens. So where'd you get the word heathen from? What makes you think I'm getting it from a heathen? What are you talking about? I have no clue what you're talking about. I said I get it from Israel. What makes you think I'm getting it from a heathen? What are you talking about? I'm not sure where that came from. Shout out to Sister Shannon here in the building. I see you, sis. Shalom. What's going on? True people of the Bible. Shalom. Ya Alam Ben Israel. Shalom, my brother. I got your message. So again, being that you're in the Atlanta area, I will keep you all abreast on what's going on this weekend. All right. Let me see. Did I catch everybody? I think I caught everybody. So let me put the link in the chat also for the feast days. All right. I'm also waiting to see what you got to say, James. All right. I have you on the screen. Let me share this link for the feast days. If anybody's interested in the work that was done previously on this channel in regards to deconstructing the quote unquote holidays, I'm going to drop a link in the chat for a playlist. You can go check that out. All right. Here it is right here. All right. And if you want to see that video everybody is talking about in regards to what I did last Halloween, sign up for the Patreon. If you're already on a Patreon, just type in Halloween and you'll see the post come up. Very funny. Very funny. And we're probably going to do the same thing this year as well. So Chief Shema Talmid Yahu, I agree. We do. We definitely do. Waiting on you, James. Shout out to V Brand in the building. Shalom says we're back, or you're back. No, we all back. All of us in here is back. All right. Shout out to Sister Lisa Anderson. Shalom. It's teamwork, man. That's how we work together. It's teamwork. All right. So if you have not already seen it on the Patreon, because even if you are not signed up for the Patreon, you can follow my page on Patreon. I made a recent post. There's a lecture that I'm working on that I've worked on it in the past. I just never finished it. And pretty much what we're going to do is we're going to go into the Torah. When we say Torah, we're talking about the Chumash, the first 5 books of Moshe, was attributed to Moshe. And we're going to extract, we're going to parse out and extract all of the Egyptian loanwords for the material culture in Egypt. And we're going to use this as a form of dating the historical Exodus account. All right. And this is essential because this is one of the many angles and or approaches or lines of defense that can be taken to defend the fact that the Exodus actually did occur. Right. There are some things that had to be addressed in regards to the Exodus account that were misinterpreted. I did a whole lecture on Exodus chapter 12 and verse 37, right, where I show you that it was not 3 million people that left out of Egypt. That is asinine. That is ridiculous. That is not historically accurate, right? 3 million people did not leave out of Egypt, okay? What we determined in that lecture of Exodus 12 and 37 was that it was 90,000 or less total, everybody that exited out of Egypt. And we have justification for that, looking at the second Asiatic campaign of Amenhotep II, where he went into the Levant region and brought back almost 100,000 captives. And most of those captives was used to work on administrative projects in the capital of Kemet, Egypt, or Mizraim at the time, right? So it's fascinating. I don't know this person, Joe Mama. Who is this? Yeah, thank you, Mod, staying on top of it. You got a warning. Why don't you get on camera and we can do it together? I have no problem with that. So get on camera, right? Put the link there. Sister Lynette, no, I'm not 100%, about 90% still. Not 100% yet. Almost there. Yeah, well, y'all know the freaks come out at night. I said this when I was live. When was this? On Wednesday? Wednesday was cool. The only thing is that the video quality was bad, but Wednesday was cool. When I go live during the day, we don't got no trolls. When we go live at night, the freaks come out at night, man. It's thriller season. That's what be going on. Y'all don't know it's thriller season. It's getting close to so-called Hallows Eve, Halloween. So we got the freaks coming out. This is what's going on. And it's okay because what we do is we give these individuals an opportunity to come on the live, right, and bring the smoke. I always warn y'all, the Surgeon General is warning. But the link is right there for any of the trolls, the person that says that I'm sourcing things from heathens, and the other person that says show your hairline. So either one of y'all can click that, right? Joe Mama, any one of y'all can click that. James, any one of y'all can click that, and let's get on the live and chat. All right, let's get on live and chat. Okay. So Ron Shivat Ben Lewy, I answered that in that lecture. Just look it up. Matter of fact, I could drop the link in the chat. I just mentioned it was under 90,000, closer to 60,000, 60 to 90,000, somewhere within that range. All right. What I'll do is I'll give you that link to that lecture, so you can go check it out yourself. All right. It's called Revisiting Exodus 1237. How many Israelites actually exited out of Egypt? It's a live stream, so it's like 2.5 hours. We went into language, we went into history, we went into all of that stuff, right? Parsing out the text. So here's the link for that right here. You can click on that link and check it out. All right. All right. Shout out to Rodney. I see you. Shalom. Pure Soul 37. What's your stance on crystals, gems, and sage? Well, crystals and gems was something that was used throughout the scriptures. We even see the blessed breastplate that the high priest wore had what we call precious gems, right, or gemstones in it. And then we see usage of gemstones throughout the scriptures, but they were not used for divination purposes. So people that use it for divination purposes, and you call yourself an Israelite, that is incompatible with the scripture. Okay. Sage, burning sage, that has antimicrobial properties if you burn sage, white sage more particularly. But burning sage is not in the scriptures. Now, incense is, right? And the type of incense that was used, we have it listed out in the text, right? So we know the type of incense that they use and they burn. Was sage one of those things? No, it was not. If you want to burn sage, that's your business. But if you're burning sage as a custom from another culture and then call yourself an Israelite, that is incompatible, right? So hopefully that answers your question. But if you want to know the types of incense that was burned in scripture, I can get that for you. All right, let me pull it up. And let's find it here. Actually, I shared that before, all the ones that was used in a previous session. We went into, let's see. Let me see if I can find the scripture. Here it is. I got it. I'm gonna put it in the chat, and I'm gonna bring it up on the screen. Okay, Exodus chapter 30 and verse 34 and 35. All right, there it is right there. Ron Shavat Ben Lewy, do I feel he crossed the line? I feel that he did not know how to exercise diplomacy and tact as it pertains to his particular worldview or perspective on things, that he didn't have good counsel in his corner, how he should fund and support other groups who are already talking about this so that their voices can be heard. His job is to stay an asset for the community and continue to fund the community by doing the endeavors that he is doing. What I will say is that because he said, is not the first time a celebrity came out and said something along those lines that was deemed anti-Semitic, but it opens up the question to the secular realm about Jews and who's the real Jews and all these other. So that was helpful. Several people reached out to me who otherwise wouldn't care about this, and started asking me questions because they've been following me on Facebook for years, didn't want to entertain a conversation. Now Kanye West is caught up in that. Now they want to ask questions. Same thing with Nick Cannon. He was caught up in that. They want to ask questions. So every time a celebrity, and it never fails, every year a celebrity comes out, black celebrity comes out and makes a comment that's deemed as anti-Semitic, and now it opens up the question. So my thing is, if it opens up the question about who the real Jews are, right, what is really anti-Semitic, etc., then I'm happy that these things happen. However, I don't think it's the place of these celebrities in these positions of wealth to speak on that. Is their goal is to fund other individual groups that are already doing this and allow their voices to be heard on their behalf. You continue to make money. You continue to make power moves. You continue to edify and empower the community with the resources you have, the affluence you have, etc. You keep doing that. Do not compromise that. So what you need to do is take those resources and give it to the groups that's already putting the work out about this. Because if you're going to make statements, you got to source, you got to cite, you got to put real scholarship behind what you're saying. If you don't do that, they're going to write it off as an opinion, as vulgar, as defamation. And then all of these things is going to, whole cascade of things is going to occur, right? I don't think he used wisdom in doing it. And I don't think he was even thinking about considering what he was saying. He just put it out there. That Twitter post is what brought everything crashing down. His Drink Champs video that he put out was also taken down, was pulled down, right? Because you know, the head of all of that Drink Champs comes from P. Diddy, Puff Daddy, and he's in cahoots with a lot of these groups, these Jewish conglomerates. Matter of fact, Russell Simmons came out and spoke on this matter on his Instagram, and very level-headed. And what he was saying as far as the music industry, as far as Fat Farm when he did fashion, as far as Def Jam and property, all of these things, he was talking about how Jews were already on top of these things, and they were looking to be buddy with black investors, black up-and-coming entertainers, etc., and to give them an opportunity so they can profit off of it, right? And he says when they feel threatened, their safety feels threatened, their history feels threatened, they come together and pull all their resources of all the respective peoples in certain positions, and then they come on down on you. It's called cancel culture, right? So here's the problem. A lot of these brothers and sisters in the community wants everybody to be on the street preaching. And I'm like, how can you be a nation like that? Nations have offices, nations have departments, nations have different disciplines, different fields of study. This is what a nation has. If you don't have these things, you're not a nation. But also, they devalue the Esthers, the Mordecais, the Josephs, the Daniels, all these people who have prominent positions, right, throughout Israelite history, because they were in prominent positions when an attack or persecution came on the community. Because of their positions, they were able to intervene. Because of their positions, they were able to stop the people from being persecuted, killed, or destroyed. Were able to give a word from the Most High, to give a prophetic utterance to the people so they could be prepared for what's about to come. But all these people that we have in our community, these private positions, a lot of y'all condemn them instead of seeing them as an asset that we can utilize. So when these things happen, you can call on these assets and they can work in the shadows and they can provide assistance. I'm just saying, we're not walking circumspectly. We're not listening to Chokmah. There's various ways you can get the message across. You can catch more, what they say, more flies with honey than with vinegar. You can. You got to season your words with salt. So if you speak intentionally, the way that you have to set it up, if you're a person of interest in the public eye, has to be in such a way where whoever's the recipient of what you're saying, whether it's the general public or a particular demographic, it'll be loaded with information that can be verified and validated. Simple. Matter of fact, let me show y'all something. I'm gonna give you a resource. Check this out. I'll give you a resource. All you gotta do is bring up sources. That's all. Let me show you a book real quick. This is on the Patreon, by the way. Okay, you can check it out from my library on the Patreon. All right. Let me show you a source real quick. Right. Let me show it to y'all. All right. Check this out. All right. The name of this book, it's called Jewish Autonomy and a Slave Society. Suriname and the Atlantic World from 1651 to 1825 by Aviva Ben-Or. Now, let me show you this. Let me show you this so you can see what's going on. All right, check it out. Jews, slavery, and Suriname and Atlantic World. Since Candide first beheld him in 1759, the Negro stretched upon the ground has become a paradigmatic of the brutality of Suriname's slave regime. This poor man, whose right hand was severed during a sugar mill accident and whose left leg was amputated by his master in retribution for absconding, remains nameless in the novella. But neither his identity nor even the basic facts about colonial Suriname were of any significance in the satirical Candide, for Voltaire, born in 1694 as Francois Marie Arouet, inserted the slave encounter as an afterthought, as a camouflage jibe directed at his swindling Dutch publisher, Johannes van Durham. The man's last name is garbled form, became that of the cunning Surinamese slave owner Van der Den Deur, a pseudonym meant to evoke the French expression dent dure, or scathingly critical. Voltaire never even visited Suriname. He was apparently unaware that the lingua franca of slaves was Sranan Tongo rather than Dutch, and that most unfreed people in the colony practiced Afro-Creole spiritual traditions instead of Christianity, and that runaways were punished with the severance of an Achilles tendon, not with the removal of an entire limb. Nor did he seem to mind the ships to Suriname sailed and arrived from North America and the Dutch Republic, not Buenos Aires, Venice, or Bordeaux, or that to reach Suriname from another land one passed through rainforest rather than desert. Not even the name of the capital city, Paramaribo, was of concern to Voltaire. He misidentified it reductively as the town of Suriname. In a parallel way, much of what is commonly known about Jews in the hemispheric American slave societies, particularly their association with the Atlantic slave trade and slave ownership, also materialized from an intention to defame rather than to anchor knowledge in credible sources and analysis. The secret relationship between blacks and Jews, published anonymously by the Historical Research Department of Nation Islam in 1991, contends that Jews played a disproportionate role in the African slave trade. It sparked a national debate about history, epistemology of the past, and particularly the perceived social and economic relationships between U.S. Jews and African Americans in the 20th century, the modern-day preoccupation that provided the impetus for the book's creation. The volume's assignment as required reading in college courses sparked public discourse that typically disintegrated into diatribes identifying Jews as the utmost oppressors of blacks, or into the shop-worn apologia that Jews, because of their own experience of persecution in Christian Europe, were benevolent masters or ardent civil rights activists who participated in the liberation movement beyond their proportion in the larger white population. An ensuing quarter of a century, even the archivally driven work stimulated by the controversy remained straitjacketed within a binary that framed Jews as either persecutors or protectors of enslaved Africans and their descendants. Eli Farber's Jews, Slaves, and the Slave Trade, Setting the Record Straight in 1998, was the first to empirically refute the conclusion that Jews dominated the slave trade as financiers and merchants. Jonathan Schwartz followed in 2004 with his Jews and Blacks in the Early Modern World, a erudite history of ideas, experiences, and legislation, which argues that Atlantic and Mediterranean Jews of European origin did not differ from the majority of white Christians among whom they lived in terms of attitudes and behavior towards people of African origin. Scorch prepared the ground for his opus with a biting journal article published in 2000, lambasting 20th century Jewish historians for their apologetic stance towards Jewish involvement in the medieval and early modern slaveholding. Even scholars who refuted the representation of Jews as especially cruel slave owners transmitted an implicit indictment against their modern-day descendants. WikiVink, who provided a refreshing analysis of Suriname's Jews as Creole, commented in the pre-publication version of her dissertation in 2008 that the image of the persecuted Jew in contemporary historiography in an era of continued violence in Palestine is increasingly problematic, but also in a Surinamese historical context, largely untenable. For the history of Suriname, though, these findings are either inconsequential or axiomatic. Does it really matter whether or not Jews or other ethnic groups were at the forefront of the slave trade? Can we even ask if Jews were mild or harsh slave owners so many decades after scholars definitively disproved the cultural determinism of Frank Tenenbaum, who argued in 1946, better a slave in the Catholic Iberian colonies than in the Protestant British Caribbean or U.S. South? Was it really possible for Jews, or anyone for that matter, to exist in a slave society while remaining largely impervious to his brutality, or to conduct themselves according to the dictates of post-slavery interpretation of the Hebrew Bible, treating their human possessions as chattel and name only? Is it not only the richness of the archives that provides a clear answer? A resounding no. It is the very nature of slave society itself. Slave societies, as students of ancient Rome history have also observed, have always produced an inevitable mixture of populations. And it is this very mingling that hurls history and its actors into exceptionally unanticipated directions. Jewish society and Jewish autonomy in a slave society explores the unforeseen social consequences of living in a Dutch colony characterized by both extreme coercion and unprecedented autonomy. Suriname was centered on the wild coast, or Guyana, a vast area that stretched from Venezuela to Brazil. Roughly the size of the state of Georgia, United States of America, Suriname borders the Atlantic Ocean in the north, and it's bounded by French Guyana in the east, English-speaking Guyana to the west, Portuguese-speaking Brazil to the south. The northern coast of South America was a region where the English, French, and Dutch had traded since the last 16th century. Suriname was first colonized in 1651 under the proprietary rule of Francis Willoughby of Parham. It passed virtually without bloodshed from English to Dutch hands in 1667 when a Dutch naval squadron attacked. Amid frequent warfare, only two colonies on the continent's northern coast remained Dutch for a prolonged time. Berbice, I think I'm saying it right, which prevailed from 1627 through 1796 in present-day Guyana, and Suriname, which remained a Dutch colony for most of the 3 centuries leading up to its independence in 1975. So I'm going to stop there. It's more that I can read in this introduction, but the thing is that you want to see a Jewish autonomous society within a slave society, and how Jews in a known colony in South America have interacted with the slave trade, the possession of slaves, their involvement in all the things that was being produced by the slave trade, in a well-sourced book. And this book right here is very objective. It's not taking either extremes. They say, oh, the Jews really didn't have no involvement, or the Jews did have an involvement, and they was very vicious and very ruthless, etc. It takes that middle path and it looks at both sides, and what it does is parses through it to give you the facts that we can see is well sourced. So books like this, when you read it, you actually get to the root of what actually occurred, as opposed to sensationalism and emotionalism. I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan of facts. What is the facts? Because the facts will dictate how I direct my emotion, my righteous indignation, where should it be concentrated towards. It's based on what the facts show. And we do have Jewish autonomy. I'll give you a great example, something that comes close to home. On my mother's side of the family, they're from the U.S. Virgin Islands. If you go to St. Thomas today, they have one of the oldest Jewish synagogues in the Western Hemisphere there. The Dutch came and brought slaves there. The Jews came and set up a whole colony there in that region. right? So you had these Christian Dutch slave traders, and then you had Jews that lived on that island. Have a whole a document that goes into the entire history. Very fascinating history, right? So from firsthand, looking on my mother's side to see where the places the Dutch went, where they sourced their slaves from, and bringing them there over to the U.S. Virgin Islands. One fascinating thing that I've mentioned of Christian Oldendorf, right, who was a part of the Christian Brotherhood, right, or the Moravian Brotherhood, right, went and interviewed the slaves in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and the slaves there told him about Black Jews in Loango. What do you think those slave cities and ports in Loango, which neighbors the Congo, right, but it faces towards the Atlantic, those Black Jews there, when you go look at the Vili peoples and the other ethnic groups that lived in that region, you know that they sourced all the foreigners amongst them first and gave them up as slaves before they went into the hinterlands to start wars and battles and get POWs to make up for the large consumerism of human trafficked slaves for Europeans. Now, recently there was a movie that came out called The Woman King, extremely exaggerated. The Kingdom of Dahomey was not gung-ho with stopping the slave trade. They added that emotional part into the film because they know a lot of you are going to go back and read that. The character, the main character, she's fictional. She didn't exist. And her having a daughter and that love story with that Brazilian dude who was half from Dahomey, half from father being Portuguese, that is also fictional. Right? Now, those women, did they exist? Those women warriors? Yes, they did. And there was about 6,000 of them. Did some of them fight Europeans? Yes, they did. However, they also were used to go get more slaves. All right. So the port city or town or area or region of Ouida that some of y'all say is the kingdom of Judah. It's not the kingdom of Judah. There was no kingdom of Jews in West Central Africa, because if there was, the only way that would happen is if the curses that a lot of y'all talk about didn't follow them. So if they were still under the curses, they wouldn't have made it over here to the Americas, right? They had a whole kingdom, y'all saying, the kingdom of Judah. Well, if there was a whole kingdom of Jews there, kingdom, keep that in mind. The only way they can be established is in righteousness, according to what the Most High says about restoring a kingdom of Jews. And that was not the case. See, a lot of you don't study the kingdom of Dahomey. You don't know much about that region. And the neighboring region that became what we call today the state of Benin or Togo, that whole region. You got to learn the history, what they were practicing. Now, were there Black Jews in that region? Of course there was. Yes. Did they have a whole kingdom? No. If they had a whole kingdom, there would be no Jews scattered anywhere else. Okay. All right. I'm going to back off. All right. So let me see. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know this. Who's this individual Toasty? Why are you asking me to choose a number? I'm not doing that. Why am I choosing a number? We're talking about real information. You're talking about choosing a number. I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. Let me see if I can find this other source here. Let's see. Let's see if we can find the other source. Let me see if I can find it for you. Let me see. If I can't find, I think I might have it on the. I think I might have it on the Patreon. Let's see. Here's another. I think this is the other one that I wanted to show real quick. This one right here. I think this is the one I wanted to show. Nah, that's on the Patreon. I'll wait for that one. Yeah, I just seen that. Justin. Very fascinating. It's gonna keep happening. This is gonna be yup. See, those of us that's been in this walk for years. I've been in this walk since 2013. So next year would be 10 years that I've been in this walk, right? And putting out this information for 10 years, but in a way that is more digestible because we have facts, we have sources, right? So you'll see me talk to Gentiles that come on here and ask me all these questions, or even people that look like us and ask questions about us being Black Jews, why we identify as Black Jews, or this is what they were called in Africa, but Israelites is the term we like to be, the ethnic term we like to be identified as. What kind of case can you make to validate that you are a descendant of the people of the book, right? We make cases for that. We show all the evidence we have, whether it's direct or circumstantial, and we say, look, this is the case that we made, that we derive from the people of the book, and at the very least are an admixture of these Black Jews that mix amongst the native peoples in these slave port cities on in these regions in which Europeans came and traded people for gunpowder and other items, right? So we make the case, and we're consistent with making the case. I'm working on a presentation that I'm going to do either the end of this year or the beginning of next year, whereas a follow-up to my 2018 lecture that I did in regards to identifying as Black Jews. Was proof do you have of that, right? So I'm going to do the follow-up to that to give you even more information, because since 2018, 4 years ago, I've discovered even more information. There's more and more data, so much data out there. It's not like there's scant pieces of sources here and there. No, there's tons of data out there that showcases or make the case for us being descendants of these people groups, right? Or like I said, at the very least, an admixture, right, of these Black Jews that was in these regions. Some of you have conversations with people on here. But the problem is when you have celebrities who are not well informed, who do not cite sources, right, who do not understand the entire encompassing and engulfing subject matter of us being or identifying or making a case to be Black Jews or Israelites, and you just point the finger. Look, I'm gonna tell y'all something, okay? Bank tellers are trained to spot fake bills, not by studying all the fake bills that's out there. They just study the real thing. When you put your time and investment in studying the real thing, pointing out what the real thing is, how do you know it's real, etc., you let other people see what the fake is. You give them that little marker and you mark the dollar and say, oh, look at the color change. Listen, focus on making the case for you and your people identifying as Israelites or Black Jews. Right? You make that case. You focus on that. You teach people how to identify the real, and then they will be able to spot the fake. So you have to get a whole bunch of bank tellers and teach them this is the real deal right here. Focus on that. And that's the problem. People are not doing it. They want to point fingers, point blames. Okay, you pointed finger, you pointed blames. Now what? You did that. Now what's your next step? When you focus on identifying that your people are descendants of the people of the book, or that we can lay claim or make a case for it, once you do that, now that we understand this is who we are, now we have next steps. Now we got to restore our culture, because it's that common culture that bonds us together as a community. And as a community, then we work together and we bring all our resources in-house and create autonomy, self-governance, take care of all of our affairs. The purpose of doing this is so that we can prep ourselves as many Goshens as we await for the kingdom to come. It's a whole goal, from culture to autonomy. It's the whole plan. Once we understand who they are, They know what the obligation is, and they get busy. They get to work. They put their hand to the plow and say, okay, let's go work, do kingdom work. Let's get this job done. Wake up all the people who they are. Bring more people together, more resources together. Build our Goshen. And that's the problem. They don't have a next step. They don't have a game plan. Why come out and say that, draw attention to yourself, and you have no follow-up? What's your game plan? Kanye West is a billionaire. A billionaire. A billionaire. Even as a billionaire, he apologized. Because the type of pressure they put on you is going to affect all those assets you have. But the problem is, if you're not taking those assets and the wealth that you've garnered, and you create a plan and something tangible. So in the event that that happens, when you speak out, you already got something building over here. And that what you're building is off the grid, off the radar. So you don't have to be entangled with the consumerism, the partnerships, and so forth with the people that you've offended. You've created your own little Goshen right here. You got something going on. If you don't have that going on, then you don't have a next step. And the problem is, if you have that going on, you're a billionaire, you're drawing more attention to those type of things that you're working on now. Why would you draw attention like that? There's other ways you can circumnavigate what's going on. But that's the problem. They speak out without the game plan. You can't do that. You can't do that. Now, again, you start the conversation, which I appreciate. Conversation is going, but at what expense? Like I said, if you're a celebrity and you're watching this, and I have several celebrity friends that I speak to on the regular, and you're watching this, do not put yourself out there like that. You do not have to do that. First, get edified and get a firm grasp on the subject matter. Be able to cite sources, be able to show people that you mechanically understand what's going on, being able to build a case, to know their techniques to your approach, all of that. So when they ask you, you can give a well-formulated answer. So what about the Jews over there? I'm not worried about the Jews over there. I'm worried about the Jews that are right here. See, you gotta shift the focus back to us. I'm not putting that focus out to nobody else. I don't know if you're a real Jew or not. I don't know about that. That's your business. I'm talking about us. Let's deal with us. This is the case. This is why we say what we say. This is the proof behind it. This is what it is. If you don't like it, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, the truth is going to come out there. And before everything consummates, the truth has to go to the four corners of the earth. So if he's the impetus to get that message to the secular realm, who otherwise was glossing over this, then more power to the Most High. Like I said, about 6-7 people reach out to me who I've known for some time, who otherwise could care less about the subject matter. And the moment Kanye says something, now their ears are open, their spirits are open to have the conversation. And I'm glad, because they were stiff-necked and hard-headed initially, but now your favorite celebrity, one of your favorite celebrities, has brought it to the mainstream. Now you're open to hear what's going on. We've been telling you this all the time. That community is well-rooted in their culture. That community is well-connected. That community saw opportunities as merchants and took advantage of certain situations and opportunities. That's what they've done to securitize themselves. Instead of y'all pointing blames, oh, look what they did. What are you doing? If that's your culture, how can they take your culture that's yours and do better than you? How about you take back your culture and do better than them? Because the difference is, according to what some of us say, Yah's on our side. If he's on our side, we should be doing better than them. If we are collectively coming together and following Torah, we should enjoy some blessings, despite being in captivity. Where's it at? What are y'all building? Y'all keep saying y'all nation building. Where? You nation building? You have a GDP, gross domestic product? You got a standing army? You got that? Oh, you got land that you got a loyal title to? Not a fee simple. You got a loyal title to that land? Oh, no? You own the mineral rights in that land? Oh, no, you don't. Oh, shoot. Man. What about your imports and exports? What about your currency? Huh? Your academies? You got that? Oh, so you ain't nation building. Oh, nation building. Oh, you're not nation building. Okay. I thought y'all was nation building. You ain't even got no diplomats, but y'all nation building. You ain't got no ambassadors, but y'all nation building. You ain't got no constitution, but y'all nation building. Oh, the Torah is our constitution. Great. So let's agree on some things. Show me how to execute A, B, and C, because we're not in a theocratic society anymore. So therefore, you cannot take it at face value to try to implement it. It has to be reworked somewhere different. It has to be a cultural mandate now. It's a little different. It's a shift and change because of the situation we're currently in. We cannot create a kingdom on earth. That is not our goal. Our goal is to create Goshens on earth as we await our second Exodus. That is our goal. Y'all doing too much finger pointing at everybody else. Yes, call things for what it is. I'm all with that. I've done that for years on this channel, right? But don't do it without a game plan. Don't do it without showing tangibles afterwards. You understand? There has to be a method to a madness. If not, then it's just simply madness. Okay. All right. All right. I agree. It did. I agree. But that should not be his job. That's not his place to do that. You sent a representative to do that. You don't need to do that. For what? Stay in your position and fund these other groups. Give these other groups a platform. KHM is here. We'll show you how to do it the right way. You ain't got to make any anti-Semitic comments. You just tell the truth and focus on the people of the book who are making a claim, who have been disenfranchised for hundreds of years from making that claim. So the issue is not when you make the claim that we are the Jews, right? We are Israelites. The issue is now you're pointing at other people and making all of these vulgar comments about them. So now they're going to come crashing down on you. The question is, are you prepared for that type of heat? A lot of y'all get in beef and y'all ain't prepared for that type of heat. You're not connected enough. Your money ain't long enough. Your property ain't long enough. Your sway, your influence ain't long enough. If your stuff is not together, why would you start a war? Why would you do that? Let me give you scripture for that. Let me give you some scripture for that. Right. Let's go to Luke chapter 14. I'm going to give you some scripture. Right. Luke chapter 14, verse 28. Share my screen. Trying to give you some hope. Y'all doing the most and not even prepared for the repercussions that come with it. Let's jump down. Okay. Verse 28. For which of you desiring to build a tower does not first sit down and count the costs, whether he has enough to complete it? Otherwise, when he has laid a foundation and is not able to finish, all who see it will begin to mock him, saying, this man began to build and was not able to finish. Or what king going out to encounter another king in war will not sit down first and deliberate whether he is able with 10,000 to meet him who comes against him with 20,000? And if not, while the other is yet a great way off, he sends a delegation and asks for terms of peace. So therefore, any one of you who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple. He's giving you in this situation, teaching you wisdom. Why would you begin to lay down a foundation that you cannot build anything on? Why would you go start a war or a battle when you can't even fight against the powers that be? Why would you do that? Why would you not sit down and consider? Be deliberate in your actions that there's a means to an end, that there's a game plan that you're following. People get in the truth, wake up to the truth, and don't even know what to do after that. Let's keep the statutes, laws, and commandments. How in this society? How do you do that? And what more is there to do? I did a lecture back in 2019 in Detroit on this very same subject matter. What's next? I'm awakened. And now what? I think that was what's called. Awakened, now what? And people didn't have a game plan. They didn't have a game plan. Okay. I'm just trying to give y'all wisdom. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And that's the problem with Kanye West. He was not prepared for this battle. He was not prepared. He didn't put the appropriate people in power. When you have that much influence and wealth, you can empower certain people to counter the other groups that's coming against you. Or you make friends with some of these Jews who are in positions of power, do business deals with them. Because if something happens to you in your name, it affects their business deal with you. They have a lot riding on the line. They can make the phone call to their associates and their ethnic group and say, wait, slow down. Whoa, this man's just speaking his mind. You know, we're not going to move on this, move on that. Or you get your own people who are in positions of power and have them make phone calls to counter that. You didn't set up your Mordecais and your Esthers and your Josephs and your Daniels. You didn't set them up. If you had them set up, then you would be prepared for what's about to come. But see, this is what happens when you lack hokmah, when you lack wisdom. You're just shooting off shots, but not prepared for the repercussions, especially when the shots fire back. See, the difference is you're not shooting at a target that's stationary. This is not shooting practice. What you're shooting at shoots back. You shoot one bullet, they shoot 10 bullets. You're not ready for that heat. So why even start that battle? How about you concentrate on building first? We got the foundation. Now let's build something on the foundation. Let's take care of our own. Why are we worried about what's going on in this society? Let them be in a state of confusion and disarray. Your job is to build while that's going on. Matter of fact, let's get scripture for that. Just gotta get scripture for everything. People won't be thinking I'm just talking out the side of my mouth. All right. Jeremiah chapter 29. This is one of my favorite passages. These are the words of the letter that Jeremiah the prophet sent from Jerusalem to the surviving elders of the exiles and to the priests, the prophets, and all the people whom Nebuchadnezzar had taken into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. This was after King Jeconiah and the queen mother, the eunuchs, and the officials of Judah and Jerusalem, the craftsmen and the metal workers had departed from Jerusalem. The letter was sent by the hand of Elasah, the son of Shaphan, and Gamaliel, the son of Hilkiah, whom Zedekiah, king of Judah, sent to Babylon to Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon. It said, thus saith Yotewaphe of hosts, the power of Israel, to all exile who I am sent into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. He sent them into exile. We're in exile. He sent us. Let's see what he says. Point out all the fake Jews and condemn them. Wait, that's not what it says? Oh, shoot. Okay. Start a battle with all the false prophets in Babylon. Is that what it says? Oh, shoot. Don't say that either. Okay. What does it say? Build houses and live in them. Plant gardens and eat their produce. Take wives and have sons and daughters. Take wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage that they may bear sons and daughters. Multiply there and do not decrease. You're in a city where black on black crime and black on black violence is astronomically high, and you want to call out these fake Jews. What are you doing about that problem there? Huh? Okay. But seek the peace, shalom, the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and intervene to Yod-Heh-Waveh on its behalf, for in its peace you will find peace. Y'all ain't got no peace because y'all not seeking the peace of the city in which you live and interposing to Yah on its behalf. Y'all not doing that work. See, The problem is you're shifted elsewhere. There's nothing wrong with speaking your opinion and calling things out for what it is. That's fine. But if most of your time is geared towards doing that and not actually building, then it's problematic. If you're going to talk it, you need to walk it equally as much as you're talking it. And that's the problem. Y'all not building nothing. You're not building anything. Your words are not a threat to them because you have not built anything. Now, if you can sway that $1.6 trillion of consumerism, that Black community of about 48 million of us are pushing into society that is feeding these Jewish merchants and empowering them, you get them to boycott and put all that money into our businesses. Now you're doing something. You see, now you're threatening them. See, what Kanye should have done is created a whole boycott advocacy. If we speak our mind as a disenfranchised people group and we get attacked for it, we're going to fire back through a boycott. How do you think the civil rights was so strong? Okay. See, he didn't put the right measures in place. Where was his boycott and advocacy? Where was his lobbying advocates in Capitol Hill that can pass legislation to protect us from this type of defamation? Even him as an individual. What was his game plan? People say, oh, he's mentally unstable. He may be. Maybe he is. I don't know the man personally, so I can't say that about him. Right? And I don't like when they keep passing off strong Black males in society as being mentally unstable. I don't like that. That bothers me. That's an issue, right? We are always mentally unstable, but then you get these school shooters that don't look like us. Oh, he had a troubled childhood. Oh, his parents beat him, abused him. Oh, he had no friends in school. Y'all see that shooter in St. Louis? Okay. All right. At the end of the day, he didn't build anything. He didn't sit down to consider. And that's the problem with these celebrities that think they have all this leeway to come out and speak. If you're a celebrity and the money you making is intertwined with people groups who you're going to speak out against, you're not considering what's going on. You're about to mess your whole situation up. And that's the problem. Okay. All right. Okay. I'm a back off because some of y'all probably wanted me to go gung ho on this. Yeah, go against the oppressive system, Divine, and speak against these quote unquote fake Jews and side with Kanye. That's what y'all want. Y'all want me to be a yes man to all of this. That's not what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you what it is. And I'm going to use scripture to back it up. That's just the way it is. So if you talk to me with the kind, I'm gonna say, what have you built today? Show me. What have you built today? What services have you provided to the community? What products and programs have you put in place? What tangible property that you own that you're building something on? What policies have you swayed and changed in your community? What? Oh, man. Okay. All right. Shout out to Door of L, Lady Culture in the building, Israel Kingdom, Shalom. I see you. Naviyah Imani Yisrael, Shalom. Let me see. Who else? JH125. Hey. So this is why it is the public who is aware and awoken, right? Those of you who are awakened, it is your job to connect celebrities like that with people in our community who are judicious enough to have these diplomatic conversations, and they can use tact to convey everything that we've been saying. There's more than one way to skin a cat. And the problem is people don't know how to do it tactfully. And that's the problem. We're not being taught that. Shout out to Essence of Ebony 0 to 9. Shalom. That's the problem. Just saying. Shout out to Sister Anna Garabai. Shalom, sis. What's going on? Shalom H. I see you. Sister Sayalantanu Yisrael. Shalom. Remnant call a royal priesthood. Shalom. I'm just saying, y'all. I'm just telling you what it is. Simply Save. Shalom. So if this was what tonight's conversation was going to be, that's what it's going to be, right? Just want to make sure I bring that out. And because I know I would have to speak out about it, but I don't know if people were prepared to receive what's being said, because too many people are bandwagon riders. And that could be a very dangerous thing when you don't have a plan. You just winging it. You're just winging it. And you don't consider, by making certain statements, that you are putting certain people's lives in jeopardy. People's welfare is being jeopardized. Did you know that today in 2021, or excuse me, 2022, going to 2023, I said 2021, that your employer can actually go and see everything you put on social media? Did you know, and I'm telling you because I work for IT, right? Did you know your employer can get all your aliases online? All of them, the ones you think you're hiding. Do you know that they can do IP address matches? They can do that, especially when you work from home. They see the IP address that's assigned to you by your internet service provider, your ISP, and they're able to match it against the IPs that are posting certain things online. You think if you're the company you work for, if they really wanted to, they can find that you're making all these statements and comments online, that you're going to have a job tomorrow? Did you know that they could do that? Did you know that they can do that if they want to? There's what we call the dark web. All types of information. Everybody's information on the dark web. If you know where to go, you can get anybody's information on the dark web. Anybody. There's tools you can find out anybody's IP address. That's like when trolls come in here, they act like I can't find out who they are. Got scripts running. You know what I'm saying? You got scripts running. You got the YouTube API. I mean, come on. We can find out all of this stuff. I keep a list of all the trolls, man. All their IPs, locations, and everything. Aliases, we got all of that. So when trolls come in here, they think they're trolling anonymously. We got a whole list, a whole database on these trolls, man. It's like technology can be a blessing or a curse. But the point I'm making is, if you're going to come out and be blatant about the statements and comments that you make, thinking you're exercising free speech, a lot of y'all live in at-will states. Job can let you go just off a GP. Like, hey, well, we don't need you anymore. I know three people personally who identify as Israelites saying all this crazy stuff online. Their employers went and looked it up because they had co-workers who snitched on them. The employer went and looked it up and said it was a conflict of interest and had to let them go. They had no other means of revenue but that job. They wasn't even thinking the fact that they have families that they have to feed. So what I'm saying is, I'm not telling nobody not to put the truth out there. Continue to put the truth out there. All I'm saying is, consider the ramifications behind that. Are you built for that? Are you prepared for that? Can you sustain this war of attrition for a long term? The scripture says that he who endures to the end, the same shall be saved. Can you endure to the end? Can you? If you can't, you're playing a dangerous game. Dangerous game. One of those individuals who was working was trying to start a business, partnerships. What he didn't know was some of the businesses he worked for were owned by Jews, partnered with Jews. And when that information came out from the employer, word got out in that industry. Started to lose contracts. See, this is what I'm saying. If you spend all that time building something before you speak, then if that happens, you're like, I'm not worried about that. I got this, or I already got this. Y'all can have that. I mean, it is what it is. All I'm trying to tell y'all is just to use wisdom. Consider. I read it from scripture. Consider. Sit down and consider the cost before you start doing this. How do y'all say? If he dies, he dies. Hey, if that's your calling to perish, by all means. All I'm telling you is don't tell everybody else to follow the same path as you. See, I'm not going to be inconsiderate, and I'm not going to give somebody the wrong wisdom. I'm not going to tell everybody to do what DivineProspect does. Because everybody ain't built to do what DivineProspect does. Just like I'm not built to do everything that everybody else does. We have our own lane. You identify the lane or the path that somebody's going on, and you give them the right tools to sustain that path down their own lane. You don't force them on your lane. You don't do that. You equip them for their own lane. So Elijah, I don't know what you're saying. Do you want to have a conversation? You seem like an extremist, right? And that's fine. I'm gonna drop the link. We're gonna end this at 2 hours. I'm gonna drop the link right here. I'm gonna drop the link. All right. You click on the link and let's have a conversation. Click the link. Let's have a conversation. That link is for you. The other two people that they were supposed to click on the link didn't click on the link. But Elijah, that's for you. Let's have a talk. Let's have a talk. I don't mind you having that position, but when you start saying that Israel is scary, let's have a talk. Shalom, Sister Santawan. What's going on? Oh, he has been. Okay. Well, the link is right there, Elijah. You ain't got to entertain the chat no more. Let's come on and have a conversation. You're still not coming on here, brother. We're gonna be here 400 more years if we weren't willing to fight the end. What kind of, show me the fight that you're fighting? What's the fight you fighting? What's the fight? Tell me the fight. Is the fight is you're going on social media and you're typing, we're the real Jews, you're the fake Jews, scripture, scripture, scripture. Is that a fight? I'm asking. Is that the fight that you're talking about? Shalom Gaal, the Galilean, Shalom King. Is that the fight you're talking about, brother? Is that what you're saying? When you say fight, what do you mean when you say fight? Do you mean putting out the truth? What do you mean when you say that? This is why I'm asking you. Okay, you said can somebody repost the link? I don't know why he said he didn't see the link. Okay, look at my name in the chat and you will see the link. It's right there. The link's right there. Shabbat Shalom D. 617, let's get it. Shalom. The link is right there. Click the link. So if they don't want it, you can't force it. You plant the seed, let somebody else water it, and the Most High give increase. That's how it works. Don't frustrate yourself. You must live it out. Live it out. You must live it out. When you live it out, that will attract them. I tried to do that with friends and family. But you know what it took? Me living it out and them seeing the things that I told them about. And they're like, oh, whoa. Because Black people in particular love gossip, especially celebrity gossip. Oh, this celebrity said this about the Jews. Is this true? This celebrity said this. I said, oh, so when a celebrity says something, you pay attention. But I've been trying to tell you this for years. And that's why Yeshua says a prophet has no honor in his own country. Our limitations is not based on our capabilities. Sometimes our limitations is based on the familiarity that those around us have of us. And because they remember the old us, not the us in the present. They're living and trying to visit the old house that we no longer live in no more. And that's the problem. So you cannot get tied up for that. You have to create a new family. Yeshua says that he does the will of my Father. Those are my brothers. Those are my sisters. That's our mentality. So hopefully that's encouraging enough to you. I don't want you to frustrate or overwhelm yourself because your family and friends are not getting it. That's fine. That's fine. Why would you continue to plant seed in arid ground when you know previous seeds you planted is not growing there? Who's going to continue to do that? It's not profitable. We're still waiting on Elijah to click the link. Elijah, click the link. Click the link, Elijah. Still waiting on you, Elijah. I put the link another time. It's right there. Hit the link. For those of you coming in, thank you for joining us. If you're brand new, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can get alerted when we go live, when we upload more content. All right, share this video with anybody you know who needs to hear this truth. I'm breaking my silence on the Kanye West thing, and that's why I was speaking. I'm giving y'all an angle other people are not giving you. Other people are feeding into the gossip. That's not what we're here for. We're not here to feed into the gossip. We're here to tell you the truth. We're here to tell you how it is. It's a strong pill to follow. So Elijah, Moses, you do an LMAO. Brother, I sent the link. Click on the link. You're not clicking the link. You're doing all that in the chat. You're not clicking on the link. You're saying you apologizing. When did I apologize? I don't know. I have no clue what you're talking about. But I want to have a conversation with you. Let's talk face to face. Let's have a conversation. If you don't want to do that, then you're not even fighting a real fight. How are you fighting a real fight telling other people what we should do, but you can't even get on camera and have a conversation? Why should we listen to advice from somebody who can't even show their face? You cannot be anonymous and send other people to war to go die when nobody can see what you're doing. That's not going to work. Click the link. You don't see the link? I'll post it one more time. Here's the link right here. Click the link. Click the link. The chat is not even hearing you at this point. So whatever you're attempting to accomplish is null and void. You can see they're not even paying attention to what you're saying. So we need you to click the link. Okay, click the link. All you got to do is just take your mouse, click the link. All right, so let's move forward because apparently he's not clicking the link. He's telling us we should fight. He's not even defining what the link. You talking about links. What is he talking about? Whose man is this? Whose man's is this? Yo, brother, click the link. I'll do it one more time. You want your voice to be heard? I'm giving you an opportunity for your voice to be heard. You want to speak to these people? I'm giving you an opportunity to speak to the people. You have an opportunity to reach thousands of people, brother. Just click the link. Tell us how weak we are. Tell us how we're too scared to fight. Define what fight you're talking about. Reasoning and talking didn't put us in slavery, and it ain't going to get us out. You're talking to commandment keepers, brother. What are you talking about? You're talking to commandment keepers. You're not talking to secular individuals. Somebody told me you was on 100 coming into the chat. I don't mind that. Keep that energy. But if you get called out, you have to appear. See, if this was the white man and he subpoenaed you to come to court, you will show up. But you can't even show up to speak to your brother. You trying to tell us what we should be doing. And we're giving you an opportunity. We're subpoenaing you, brother. Come and speak to the people. Make an appearance. And you choose not to do this. Okay. It ain't we, it's you. I don't even know what you're saying. You're incoherent to me at this point, brother. You're incoherent to me at this point. Why would anybody want to follow somebody that they never seen put in work? Why would they do that? Matter of fact, let me see. I don't even know if you have a channel. Do you have a YouTube channel? Maybe you have some game plans on your channel. Let's go to your channel and see if you have a game plan for the people. I'm curious to see if you have a game plan for us. Maybe it's on your channel. Maybe I missed that. Let me go see. Let's see if the brother has a YouTube channel. Let's see. Does he have a YouTube channel, y'all? Let me know. Sis, I'm not going to entertain it for too much longer. I just want to see if he has a game plan on his YouTube channel. Maybe he has something on his YouTube channel. Let me go to his channel. Let's see. All right, let me share his channel. Let's share his channel, right? Here we go. All right. So this is his channel. So let me click through all of the solutions that he's providing for us. Let's see where he's fighting. Let me see. Home, videos, playlists, channels, about. Okay, so he has scripture in the about. Comfort ye, my people, saith your God. Speak ye comfortably to Jerusalem and cry unto her that her warfare is accomplished, that her iniquity is pardoned, for she hath received of the Lord's hand double for all sins. The voice of him that cried from the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be exalted, and every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of the Lord hath spoken it. Isaiah chapter 40, verses 1-5. So I'm looking to see, and then he has a link to this Vampire Bats demo. Okay, maybe this is the solution here. Let's see. Maybe this might be the solution. More subtle than any the tree which is in the Whoa, I see a solution right there. Oh. Wow. Oh, okay, I see it. Okay, cool. All right, so I'm gonna go back and study this game plan. Maybe this is something here we can implement. Yeah, I think I got the game plan now. I was doing it wrong. Okay. That, you know what, brother, you win. I can't even fight against Vampire Bats. How can I? You win, brother. You got the game plan. I appreciate that. All right, let me not waste no more time. I was giving the brother an opportunity to join. Let me draw the link one more time. Let's move on, and let's transition into fighting the Illuminati. He ain't making a dent anywhere. He ain't making no dent in no Illuminati. Stop it. He ain't making no dent in no Illuminati. They ain't even thinking about that dude. They're not even thinking about him. On his channel, he has 1 million videos on his channel showing us the game plan, showing us what we should be doing, of him crying out like he said he is, of him on the street corner doing, he's doing, him putting up a fight, doing, he has all that on his YouTube channel. He was prepared to come in. Remember, we said read scripture. And we said, who, before he lays down his foundation, is going to sit down to consider the cost before he begins to build it, before others look at him and say, he didn't even have enough to finish. Brother, you can't start something like this and have nothing to back up what you're saying. We don't see anything. We don't believe you. We need more people. Quote from Jay-Z. We got to see something. You have not produced anything, brother. You said that's the plan. I'm not letting nothing play. I said you won. That's the plan. Okay, cool. Why are you not getting on this screen and talking to us? That's what we want to know. We don't hear nothing else you got to say. I just gave you some free publicity, right? People go back and check that random video on your about section. You don't even have nothing on your YouTube channel. I'm giving you an opportunity to speak so we can have a conversation and you can enlighten the people on what the fight is and what the game plan is. You did not provide it. You just put a video up about vampires and trying to link that to other things. Okay. Do you believe in vampires? You believe that there's actually people that turn into bats and they're flying out there right now, and that they come to you in the night and bite your neck and suck your blood. I just want to know, or maybe that's figurative, symbolic, not sure. Should I even waste time and listen to the rest of the video? I don't know. What I'm saying is now I'm going to go listen to this video and watch this video this weekend. I'm going to watch it, and then I'm going to critique it, because I want to make sure that if your game plan is better than what it is that we're saying, and I'm saying we, because a lot of people in the chat saying stuff, if it's better, then I will turn over this entire channel to you. That's what I'm going to do. If your game plan is better, if that's the video you saying it's going to bring us a solution, that's the salvation of our people, is that video, I'm going to watch the video. I'm going to watch the video. Matter of fact, I'm going to have a watch party on Facebook, and I'm going to bring a bunch of people in. We're going to watch your video, and we want to see if the game plan that you present in that video is better than everything that we've been doing. And if so, then you have the right example, and we're going to turn over the keys to KHM to you, my brother. All right? Okay. All right, let's move forward. Q&A is here now. I see you're asking for that. Let's end off in style. We got 20 minutes. Let's go to the Q&A. All right? Again, we if you look in the title, we have the smoke breaks. Smoke breaks is here. But nobody's showing up for the smoke break tonight. It's good, because just like the Surgeon General warner is, it's going to be harmful to your spiritual health. You know, that's what we're going to be doing. So anyway, okay, so Yirmiyahu Ben Yisrael says, what are the KHM research paradigm for Bible study? So it's the holistic research paradigm for Bible study. That's the name of the class. What are the tools needed, or do one please, for the tools? Okay, so the tools is dependent upon the subject matter we come across in class. So the first thing is I give you a guide, and what the guide does is that it shows you how to start with a problem question, right? You end with a problem question, and then you go from there all the way to a conclusion, right? And there's various things that you do in between. And what happens is you get equipped with the resources based on the problem question that's asked, that comes forth from out something we read from the scripture. Okay, so you could pick any passage and find something cryptic about a passage that's been cryptic, that you have a lot of difficulty with, is the best ones to get and say, okay, this is the problem. I don't understand what's going on here. How do I solve it? So it depends on what that is. So we have sources, you have tools, and you have methodology. Methodology is consistent. You have tools, right? Several tools like a lexicon, interlinear, Bible study software. And then you have sources. So these are books that you may get, primary sources, secondary sources on the discipline in question, whether it's language, culture, ancient Near Eastern thought, etc. Right? So it all depends on the inquiry that's derived from the passage that we encounter, or passages we encounter, and there is some kind of confusion about it, right? So so that is really where we're at. I actually did a mini lesson on this, dealing with the book of Genesis and Abraham, and having those three quote unquote messengers come to him. It says Yod He Vav He appeared to Abraham, right? So I actually did a mini lesson on that. You can look that up. Just put Abraham, KHM, whatever, and you'll find that particular lesson. All right. So hopefully that helps with that. All right. All right. So let's see. Let me see. Thea P says, Shalom, who will serve who in New Jerusalem? And can you do a lecture on Revelation? Yes, I could do a lecture on Revelation. That would be more of a series, because there's so much in there. Unless there's something specific, like the question you asked is, who will serve in New Jerusalem, right? And can you do a lecture on Revelations? Well, in New Jerusalem, the Israelites who were exiled will be regathered, They will go through a wilderness phase where, when, how, in particulars, we only have scant details from the text. They're going to sift through the Israelites who are stiff-necked and rebellious, and the ones who are obedient and upright will be brought into the land, into what we call New Jerusalem, but not without bloodshed. There will be a battle that will occur so that that land is cleansed and Israel is restored to the land. We see this in the book of Ezekiel, right? Chapter 36, around verse 26, Ezekiel chapter 11, verse 19. We see this in Isaiah chapter 66, and we see this in other places, right? So the Gentiles will be serving the Israelites in New Jerusalem. That's what's going to happen. Now, you're going to have those who are going to be on the outside of the kingdom, and you have those that will be in the inside. So now the Gentiles who cleaved unto Israel and have become allies with Israel and are serving Israel now, they will be within the kingdom walls serving Israel, right? Receiving byproduct benefits from being amongst Israel. Those on the outside, on the other hand, are those going to be kept out of the kingdom. They will serve Israel reluctantly, but they will still serve Israel. Kings will come and bow at Israel's feet, and they will give them things. You will have vine dressers, and you will have pastoralists that will come and serve Israel in New Jerusalem. And if we look in that, juxtapose that with the book of Revelation, where it talks about Hashatan will be bound for 1,000 years, that is that kingdom age of the New Testament, in which all the prophecies of the kingdom in the quote-unquote Tanakh, Hebrew Bible, Old Testament will be fulfilled during that period of time. That's what's going to happen. And then after that time period where Hashatan's released, the final rebellion is going to occur, which is called Gog and Magog. And once that battle ensues, the earth will be baptized in fire and renovated. Final judgment of the dead will commence. And once all that is completed, those gates into this new Garden of Eden, this new paradise, Israelites who are obedient and persevered and endured to the end will make it through these gates. But also, and I'm going to say this, some Israelites might not like it, also Gentiles would be too. And it would be the Gentiles who cleaved unto Israel, who served and allied with Israel during all this period of time. They will come in as well with the Israelites who they cleaved unto, the tribes who they cleaved unto. They will come in because they've done their due diligence to serve Israel. They were inside New Jerusalem when all these things were taking place. And they were committed and devoted to Yah, and they were obedient to serving Yah's people. You see, Christian Zionists said we should pray for Israel, support Israel. That's what Christian Zionists say. And they know, because when they do that, they understand that the blessing upon Abraham is upon his descendants, bloodline descendants. And if you bless them, they will bless you. And if you curse them, they will curse you. They have no problem doing that until they realize that, oh, some of these Jews are black. Oh, we got to serve them. These low debased people, poverty-stricken people, disease-stricken people, financially inept people. I got to serve these people who ancestors was slaves. You saying that they Jews? Oh, that's going to be a shock when that time comes. It's going to be a shock. All right, so let me see what else is here. All right. Is the seventh-day Sabbath more accurately aligned with the moon, lunar solar calendar, or just what are your thoughts and studies about it? So you're talking about the lunar Sabbath, right? I think that's what you're referring to. Are you referring to the lunar Sabbath? Let me know. This is about the. Let me see. Yeah, there's a lot of questions in here. Let me see. So Ariel says, so what is the game plan for surviving the mark of the beast? The game plan for surviving the mark of the beast is keep the commandments and the testimony of Yeshua. Let's get scripture on that. Let's get scripture. If we're on the topic of Revelation. Let's get Revelation chapter 14. Revelation chapter 14. And we're going to start at verse 9. Actually, we can go to, we do 14 and 9. Let's do Revelation 12 and 17. I'll do that one first. Revelation 12. So we can get some context here. Let me go to 14. Revelation chapter 12, verse 13. And when the dragon saw that he had been thrown down to the earth, he pursued the woman who had given birth to the male child. The woman is representative of Israel. But the woman was given the 2 wings of the great eagle so that she may fly from the serpent into the wilderness to the place where she is to be nourished for a time, and times, and half a time. The serpent poured water like a river out of his mouth after the woman to sweep her away with a flood. But the earth came to the help of the woman, and the earth opened its mouth and swallowed the river that the dragon had poured from his mouth. Then the dragon became furious with the woman and went off to make war on the rest of her offspring, on those who keep the commandments of God and hold to the testimony of Yeshua. And he stood on the sand of the sea. That's how we're surviving that. Let's keep going, right? Chapter 14, verse 9. And another angel, a third, followed them, saying with a loud voice, that anyone worships the beast and its image, keyword, worships the beast and its image, and receives a mark on its forehead or on his hand. You want to know what are the details about that, Divine? Well, we have a documentary that's coming up very soon where we're going to go into that. Karagma. Okay, where I actually give my take on what that is. Verse 10, he also will drink the wine of God's wrath, poured full strength into the cup of his anger, and he will be tormented with fire and sulfur in the presence of the holy angels in the presence of the Lamb. And the smoke of their torment goes up forever and ever, and they have no rest day or night, these worshipers of the beast and its image, and whoever receives the mark and of its name. Here is the call for the endurance of the saints, those who keep the commandments of the Most High and their faith in Yeshua. What do you mean faith in Yeshua? He persevered unto the end. He persevered into persecution by keeping the Father's will. He said, not my will, but your will be done. We keep the commandments. We keep the Father's will, and we build. I just showed y'all what to do in captivity. We build. We set up our Goshens. That's how we do it. When we do that, we have a self-sustaining ecosystem that will sustain and support us even amongst the persecution that's happening in the mainstream, and we will wait out our redemption. Keep the commandments. Tell people about Yeshua, what his goal and his purpose was for his people, how we can persevere like his example until the end. That is how we're going to overcome the mark of the beast. Does that answer your question? Hopefully it does. Okay, so Israel Young Lion, you've been asking this question for some time. Whenever the opportunity presents itself, right? So you are referring to a particular Papyrus Harris, I think is the designation of an individual named Kasu. Is that what you're talking about? Let me know if that's who you're talking about. I'm gonna have to go and dive into my Egyptian sources and open up a conversation on that. Let me see if I can find that, if I have time to find it. All right. Let me bring it up. It's called the Papyrus Harris in the British Museum. Let's see if I can find it. See if we can find it. I gotta go into my ARCE, American Research Center in Egypt, database and see if we can pull something out on it. I read that maybe about 6 years ago, back in 2017, I think it was. It's been some time since I read that. Let me see if I can find it here. I'm gonna have to log in. But you're saying, is that Moses? That, I think that's the question you're asking, and that is too late to be Moses. I'm gonna say that. That's too late to be the Mosaic account of the Exodus, if that's what you're saying. Is that what you're saying? Where's he at? Let me know, and let me know more that you want to share on that. And what I'll probably do is go into my ARCE database and pull up some pull up the actual papyri and take a look at it. It's been a while since I've seen that, so I'm not going to speak much on that until I do that first. Okay. Yim Yahoo. Okay, let me see if I can find that for you real quick. Hold on one second. Let me see if I can find that for you. Let me see. I'm gonna have to look on the channel. Oh, here it is. I think this is it. Yep, this is it. All right. I'm gonna share the video with you. Here it is. This is it. No, it's not that one. It's not that one. It's this one right here, Yim Yahoo. So they were settled by the 13th century. They were settled in what we will call the late Bronze Age period, transitioning into the Iron Age 1 period, which according to Eric Klein was about 1166 BCE. And that's when we start to see this congregation in the hill countryside. We start to see an archaeological shredder there, pastoralist settlements in this region, right? And then these people had set up chiefdoms and tribal groups in this region, right? And then eventually they had established kings coming from out of this region, right? So there are various accounts. For example, there's a SETI, the first account, SETI account in regards to exposing Shashu Asiatics from out of the Sinai Peninsula. We have one in the time of Hatshepsut who also expelled or exposed Asiatics from the Nile Delta region, right? We have this one that you're saying as well, Irsu as well, account of Asiatics leaving as well. So we have several quote unquote documented Exodus accounts from the Egyptian perspective, right? The one that I put is close to the time of Amenhotep II and Thutmose III during that period of time, because it aligns with the second Asiatic campaign of Amenhotep II, where he brought back a very huge amount of captives that we have not seen recorded anywhere else being brought back to Kemet, Mizraim, Egypt, and a lot of them were placed on administrative duties, meaning servitude, to build and work on things in Egypt, right? We don't see that happening anywhere else. It's very peculiar to see that. Very peculiar to see that, right? So, okay, we're on 2 hours now. I don't, Dennis Taylor, I don't know what you're saying in there. So Thea P, the 144,000 is laid out explicitly in the book of Revelation. It tells you who they are. So just do a search for 144,000. Matter of fact, let me show you. Just do a quick search. I don't know if it's going to come up. It should come up here, right here. See where it says 144,000? And it says here who they are, where they come from, right? 12,000 from every tribe. And it says that they have the Father's name written on their foreheads, right? So when it says the Father's name written on their foreheads, a lot of times that's connected to worship of the Father alone. And it says, verse 4, it is these who have not defiled themselves with women, for they are virgins. It is these who follow the Lamb wherever he goes. These have been redeemed from mankind as first fruits. That's who they are, the first fruits for God and the Lamb. That doesn't mean that they're going to be the only ones, but they are the first fruits, just like Yeshua is considered the first fruit of the resurrection. And in their mouth, no lie was found, for they are blameless. All right. This is there on the screen. It's pretty succinct and clear. If you need more information on that, I would recommend an exegetical commentary of the book of Revelation, and it can provide more feedback on that. Okay. Or you can email us and we can send it over to you. Okay. All right. So I'm going to close it out here. I see you have other questions. So please stay tuned for the next live stream, and I can address those questions you're asking. I see a lot more questions that will be here another 2 hours, and I don't want to do that. I want to just unwind and transition into the Shabbat. I'm going to close out here because sometimes people complain about these sessions being too long or whatever the case may be. I think 2 hours is pretty good to compact as much as we can in there. In regards to the question you had, there's some good questions. I want to address that, especially the lunar Sabbath. I definitely want to address that. And I have an upcoming lecture on the Shabbat as well, where I'm going to address all these different angles on the Sabbath, right? And address them, right? There is no, I'm going to say this before I exit out, there is no clear-cut scripture that supports a lunar Sabbath. There's no clear-cut scripture. Matter of fact, I recommend individuals read works from Sacher Stern, who has written extensively on calendrical systems of the ancient Near East. All those sources are on the Patreon. Sacher Stern, okay, who's written extensively on that and has touched on that subject matter as well. All right. So Patrice Isha of Tiara's Love says, how does one find the Shabbat without calendar? So in order for you to find the Shabbat without the calendar, right, you have to look for different features on each day of the week. This is why it's good when we are in tune with the environment in which we lived, right? These quote unquote Roman names for the week that we got, not just Roman, like Wednesday's Wootens Day, that comes from German, right? But these days of the week we got comes from other cultures, and they're attributed to other deities. And if you go back prior to that, the first 7-day week, quote unquote, that we have comes from Babylonian accounts. Okay. And there's features on each day that in the environment you're able to see occur naturally and be able to determine what day of the week it is, right? Irrespective of what you see in the celestial realm, right? The celestial realm is used to count the days, right? But the seventh day, the Shabbat, based on the ancient calendrical systems, Megarians is one example of people who call them Megarians. They started on the first day of the year and they begin their count to 7 days on the first day of the year, right? And again, if you keep that count consistently, because the amount of days that you have in a Signotic month changes, is approximately 29 and a half. It will never always be exactly on a particular phase of the moon. It's just not going to happen that way. And again, people are not calculating things appropriately, because if they did, you would find this out. You would discover this. It would be very apparent after the first 30 to 60 days, right? So that's what, again, I'm going to save that time for when I do that lecture so I can go more in detail. Yeah, I'm going to give it to you real quick. Let me see if I can get it real quick. Here it is. Right here. That's for you, Ran Shavat Ben Lewi. It's Wooden's Day. Look it up. Very fascinating when you look at it, all right? Yep. That's correct, Seth. That's correct. All right. So Pure Soul 37, do I have a lecture on reincarnation? Actually, I made a post in the community section on where that doctrine comes from. So read that first to kind of get some grounding behind that doctrine. Pure Soul 37, go into the community tab of this channel, scroll down, and you see the post where we talk about the gate of reincarnation. And I give you the source of that. I sum it up in it so you can kind of see what that is, where it comes from. It pretty much comes from what's called Jewish mysticism or Kabbalists. So Kabbalists were responsible for bringing that doctrine into the quote unquote Jewish community, right? And then it got inseminated into our community by those who keep Kabbalah and identify as Israel, right? That's the source of that, because it is not explicitly in the text. There's no explicit text about reincarnation, and the passages that people use in regards to that in the New Testament have to be re-examined because they're not properly interpreting the passage within the context. They just leave the entire context out and leave out the exposure that the Jews had to Greco-Roman cultures during what we call the intertestamental period, right? So that's another conversation. So with that, let me exit out so people can go back and check out this session. If you're interested, please make sure that you have the bell notification on, that you're subscribed. If you enjoyed the content, hit the thumbs up and share the video. If you want to support the ministry, sign up for our Patreon, www.patreon.com/DivineProspect. The individuals who won the giveaway on the last live stream, we have reached out to you. So please check your emails and respond back to us so we can give you your prize for winning. Thank you for your participation. Also, the services and products and stuff that we offer, our religious exemption letters, the links are in the description below if you need one for your employer or university. Also, if you want to check out our magazine, our Kasheb magazine, the link is in the description below. And also, if you want to get a cast and lot set or a Silver Scrolls keychain pendant, right? We went over what the Silver Scrolls is and why the ancestors wore them, why they had them, etc. Hit the link in the description below. And if you want to sign up for KHM and get busy with building a real community, the link is in the description below as well. All right. Thank you for persevering and enduring to the end, because we have made it the end of this live stream. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. I will be live again soon. I'm gonna try to do a light work session this upcoming week. We're gonna go live Monday night, which is Hallows Eve. We're gonna ask the question: is the candies that your children receive on Halloween being offered unto idols? We're gonna get into that whole offered unto idols subject matter on Monday night. May conclude on Sunday with a close-in Sukkot session, a very brief Sukkot session. Do a light work session sometime during the week. It may be Monday too. I may do the light work session on Monday. as well, and just talk about that subject matter. But we definitely will be live again next Friday, Yah's willing, if all goes well. All right. We have some more content coming out on this channel as well as the Patreon. So make sure you stay tuned to both. And again, the lecture that we have coming up, I have that post on the Patreon. Go check it out. It's a public post so you can see it without even being subscribed to the Patreon and get prepared for some heavy information that's about to go your way that I haven't seen nobody introduced into the community yet for consideration, but it helps build the case for the historical Exodus account that we see in literary form in the book of Exodus. All right. All right, family. So I love y'all. Leila Tov to all of y'all out there. Get some rest. I pray the Most High Yah's presence will continue to be with each and every one of you, and that you would continue to seek his will, relax, refresh, and be renewed on the Shabbat. And I pray for all those who continue to persevere despite the hardships and adversity that's coming your way. You have to go through the storm to appreciate the sunshine. And Yah's about to shine the sun on you very soon. All right. Continue to navigate these murky, watery paths, being led by Yah. He'll get you through it. But he's not going to take the test away from you, because the test exposes chinks in the armor, the things that you need to work on, that you think you need to improve. So embrace the adversity, embrace the hardships, because once the lesson is learned, you will be stronger. So without positive stress, you can never build muscle. And if you want to build a lot of spiritual muscle, you got to go through a lot of spiritual stress. But Yah can get you through it. Just have faith, and he will do it. Faith is not something abstract. The Hebrew word emunah has to do with a sure, solid foundation. Think of an anchor. That's faith. Are you anchored in his word? Are you anchored in obedience to his commandments and to the words that were shared by Yeshua HaMashiach? Well, these are the things that you are imbuing in your spirit each and every day to keep you rooted and grounded as the storm comes. If not, you have work to do. And if you want to know how to begin that process, the KHM channel, we have plenty of content. Make sure you subscribe, go back, check out our archives. All right. All right. And I agree with you, at least on that, Elijah. Frontline soldiers stand up. But next time, come on the screen and have a conversation, brother. All right. I love you despite your misdirected zeal. Okay. So everybody else, get some rest. Shabbat shalom. And we'll speak again soon. Peace and shalom.